Okay, so RNG and Dragon Invasion needs to be addressed. There's quite a bit of it. I'm doing a run here. You can see I'm not casting anything except for Air Arrow or Titan Thunder on little dragons to kill them right away. And I have my damage recorded at 15-second intervals. 15 seconds in, I'm at 30 million. A minute and 15 seconds in, I'm at 147.87. Then I do the exact same run, only I move the Ice Elemental and Revi. And I'm actually at 15 seconds in, I'm only at 28.74 million, so I'm actually behind. But then at a minute 15 seconds in, 160 million. It's almost a 12% difference, pure RNG. Where is it coming from? And why is it fucking up my tests? Well, here you can see on the first run, the initial slow from the Ice Elemental. It's cast at 154, but it doesn't hit till 153. I decided to check slow first because it's the biggest debuff that you're using here, and it is chance on hit. But if you look here in the second run, it's actually the very first frame of 154 that it casts the first slow, and it lands with quite a bit of the second left. But this score was actually behind 15 seconds in, so a half second on slow is big, but that wouldn't explain it. Now, obviously, you can get some RNG from crits or whatnot, but I think it's mostly from the debuffs, because that's what the debuffs are, what boost your score. So here's the first run again. I'm going to start thinking about how to visually test the debuffs, because the Ice Elemental, the little slow it appears, DE procs is not going to happen, and I don't think Manticore stacks or Nightmare stacks. So here's the first run again, and I'm sure you may have noticed the dragon actually changes sizes. And what I decided to do is to track that, and it does it during roars and standing up, so it makes it kind of difficult to kind of disguise it a little bit, the actual changes. So what I got here is a line about where the dragon's nose is. Now you can see here, it's going to shrink when we start applying the buff. See, there he goes down. Now I don't know if it's the number of debuffs. He can get bigger too from buffs. It's handy for figuring out how the little dragon buffs work, because the tooltips, as I covered in the previous video, are incorrect. So as you can see here, right at 145, as the dragon spawns, he gets bigger, but I have a drop of TT on it right away, so he shrinks right back down. So the little dragon buffs, I don't think you can prevent them from being cast, but they only last as long as the little dragon's alive. So there's going to be some RNG to your score there. You want to kill them as quick as possible, but they don't always spawn in the same place. Sometimes your stone thrower picks them up right away, other times it won't. So there's one source of RNG. So like I was saying, I don't know if it's the number of stacks affects the size of the dragon, or if it's just the number of debuffs, or exactly what, but obviously smaller is better. And you can see it correlates with the damage per second. So coming up here on the first silence, there is a slow right there at 131, then the silence at 130. Apparently the silence doesn't kick in right away, because there's another slow here at 127, right before the exclamation point graphic for the silence pops up. So that's 15 seconds on slow starting then. Now here the dragon just grew because debuffs not being applied. The cooldown on the Manti stacks and even Nightmare stacks and DE and all that. And nope, 117. Okay, so the silence isn't exactly at 130. That's only 13 seconds since the last slow, so the slow didn't come off. And now we definitely can see from previous video and from this right here that the debuffs fall off towards the end of the silence, and that's when your damage drops the lowest. So applying the buffs real quick, as quickly as possible, is the goal here. I mean, less than a second counts. You can see every 15 seconds when the little dragon spawn, it buffs the big dragon for a moment. He's pretty big right now, actually. You never get him down that small again. And his second silence, which actually did seem to happen at 1 minute, not 3 seconds delayed or whatever. And we're not going to get that last little bit of damage because I only did the testing till 45 seconds. So far I haven't been able to pinpoint where this RNG is coming from. I suspect it's the buffs, or rather the debuffs, but that's going to cause issues in testing, because every time you change your formation, it changes the RNG seed. So you can't test different units without changing your formation, obviously. So let's take a look here at this run that outperformed the one before that. And again, we're going to track the size of the dragon. Now this run did quite a bit better, but at 15 seconds in was a little bit behind. So here, what happens 15 seconds in? Well, the large and magnificent, powerful dragon shrink down to a little normal, everyday, regular type dragon size. So I think it's safe to say that the fluctuations in score that I'm seeing from RNG are from the debuffs. Um, so what that means is, how do I improve debuffs besides just running it over and over again until they work out right? Well, attack speed on anything with DE emblems, or on Manti or a Nightmare for applying those stacks as quick as possible. That's why I use Witness on Manti and Nightmare. There's another debuff stacker, actually, the Regnan Pirates, which somebody brought up to me. Two people did actually say, defense reduction does work, and I'm going to get into that. But because attack speed is so important to accurately test units that add attack speed, like Revi or Spartan Warriors, you want to run them with the debuff stackers too, because otherwise you're going to miss part of their potential in the test. And also, it explains why Dendroid, some people may have better results with it. There's an awaken that either provides a bubble or attack speed, and the attack speed doesn't reach the archers, but it reaches the debuffers. So one of the ideas I came up with for testing units who boost attack speed, like Dendroid and Revi and whatnot, is to only use marksmen and leave elves behind. And I chose that marksmen because they have a more steady rate of damage. With the elves, their DPS can change a lot with their 500% attack speed ult. And then, then I have an extra slot, and so what I figured I could do for testing, instead of adding one unit to a base group, is to subtract one from a base group. So that way, with a unit like the Spartan Warriors, who boost attack speed, and I'm testing here, they get, in the test, it shows not just the boost they do to sharpshooters, but the boost to debuff stackers like Manti and Nightmare. But that still has the same issue as my other testing with the RNG, in that you have to do a whole bunch of them to get a big enough sample size to account for the RNG, because changing the units changes the formation. The other downside to that testing method is just bringing marksmen really hurts when this happens. Fuck! Oh, nothing. It's alright. One handy thing about the RNG, it makes some things easier to test if they don't change the RNG seed, i.e. awakens. So as you can see here, if you do auto fight, you'll get the exact same score. So I did the same thing twice. RNG is exactly the same. So that means anything I change that doesn't change the RNG seed will give me pure results, i.e. awakens. So what I've done here is I tested, well, first the ice elemental. Obviously the right side is better. The crit damage reduction, I'm not sure how that works, but it doesn't perform as well as the basic DRR that's right side. So then I went ahead and ran tests on the awakens for elves again. I'll run the video here really quick. It turns out that the left side is ideal, at least with my stats. The left side is ideal for both awakens, particularly the bottom one. The top one doesn't matter quite as much. If for some reason you don't have as high of a crit chance as me, it could even potentially be better. I also went ahead and did testing the long way by doing multiple runs to compare Ice Elemental and Dendroid. Now that I'm realizing Dendroid can speed the attack of the debuffers, and Ice Elemental is awakened now, just the first tier ability I have. And also, it's important to note, I have a little note here in the corner for myself. I'm not using DE emblems on the Ice Elemental for these tests. I do have one set of DE on. I believe I have them on my marksman, so that they both have some DRR from that, and it's the same for both Ice Elemental and Dendroid. So we basically eliminate Ice Elemental being able to apply DE faster as a factor, and we're just testing them straight up against each other for how much the slow plus the attack speed for the Dendroid, or the DRR on the ice wall for the Ice Elemental, benefit your damage and DI. So you can see I did the Ice Elemental run 4 different formations. RNG put some variance in my score, that's why I have to do multiple runs. I only do 3 here on the Dendroid before it becomes apparent that one Wake Star Ice Elemental is superior to Dendroid, and the best slower for Dragon Invasion. And that Dendroid is 5-star woke and does have the attack speed buff on, so case closed on that one. Now, as far as how to deal with RNG with unit testing, I have figured out a solution, I believe, for not all units can be compared to each other in this way, but when they can be, that allows us to have exact perfect results in one run each. And this video is pushing 10 minutes here though now, so I'm gonna post that separately. And that'll allow me to actually make a definitive unit here, because like a lot of the DI testing I did before shows generally which units are better, but because of the RNG, sometime I would have units that weren't that great. I actually come with a lower score than the control run. So that's why there's delays in posting it. I wanted to figure that out and not post any, misinformation if I could help it. Thanks for watching this one. Sorry for delays. I got some other stuff I'm working on too, with Steadwick Defense and Crypt and Treasury. And then also I'm trying to get the first clear on Trial Angels, but I don't think it's going to happen. 22-4 is a bitch. And I still want to do a fun one and just fun stuff with me flexing my EP and my POA emblems. But I'll at least get the new method for testing DI that avoids the RNG issues up first.